How you doing? Hey. That's a lot of noise. 9. Alrighty. First storm chase of the season. What am I doing here? I've got my microphone cord all wrapped up. Nine. I still don't have much of a voice. There it is. All right, we have moderate, not marginal, but moderate, severe, what do we call it? Moderate severe storm prediction from Storm Prediction Center. We have what looks like a forming MCS line of storms that are coming this way. One of them, south of Manhattan, looks like. It's got a tornado warning on it. I was thinking I was going to use a different camera, but my camera I was thinking of using, my iPhone, is busy with a new wonderful app that I found that shows the storms in 3D. And so far I haven't seen too many drawbacks on it. I had a coughing fit earlier, so I may have to go get some water. Maybe some sweet tea, sweet tea. And of course I'm using my YOLO box. I figured something out on the YOLO box. When I was trying to find something else I was trying to do with it, I've been having a hard time with it, keeping a good connection. This kid and his car seat, every time he gets out of the car, he somehow figures out how to make it rattle. We have a little bit of rain here in Kansas City, but the main show is still to our west, and this is going like gangbusters. And if it keeps on going, we might have something interesting here. This is just rain we have here. Ain't that fancy. This is ambient light. This camera here has been shutting off, so I don't know how long that'll last. It may have a low battery, and when they're being used constantly to charge that weak-ass 5 volt 1 amp, less than an amp charge. Ooh, just saw lightning. Won't keep up with the draw. And as this car, it's really hard to see. BRB. I'm going to turn my time lapse camera off and then turn it on. I need this. Mama Ash. See when I jerked, I whole thing out of position. Nice. Alright. Nobody loves me. Nobody's talking to me. Alright, where to go? I think I'm going to mosey west. Looks like our... Nope, still there. Tornado warning, still there. Beer flu shots. I'm not going to entangle myself with that mic, so I'll do that again, and I don't want to do that again. But so people who are the professional storm chasers, some of whom are, I guess, are finding motel rooms. Most of these small towns don't have hotels, they have motels. And so, I know this, but I'll take what I can get. I work overnight hours usually, and this may be the one of the few times I get to chase. The wife was yelling at me as I left the house, upset. She's like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm not kidding." Something is better than nothing. But you know, the hazards of chasing at night is you can't see anything, and you really have to pay attention to the road. As one of the storm chasers found out by experience that one of the most hazardous things about chasing is the driving. And we got all this distraction here. And not everybody is good at managing that. These little Sony cameras are pretty amazing. What are they? VX1000? I don't know. They're Sony's version of the action camera. And they look like, essentially like a tiny camcorder. They don't look like a little box like most action cameras do. And they're pretty good at low light for as tiny as they are, because, you know, tiny camera means usually there's a tiny sensor in there, and the larger the sensor, the better the light gathering capability, and yada yada yada. The temperature says it's 55 degrees outside. I'm not really expecting much in the way of tornadoes. And fortunately, it seems like it's been predicted, that this won't be much in the way of hail either, because we hate hail. Oops. Don't know what that was. sort of thinking, although it is starting to look, I don't know, it's pretty stout line of storms. I don't see what you normally see with a straight line wind situation, like a gust front out ahead of the storms. We'll see what forms it might. They might start blowing out. I'm using as my streaming device a thing called a YOLO box, which enables me to have like a little mini switcher in the car. And the internet, unfortunately, what I'm using is my hotspot from my phone, my data plan, which is unlimited, quote unquote. Well, in America, we have a clever way of saying one thing but really doing the other, especially when there's money and greed involved. And so unlimited does not mean unlimited. It's unlimited up to 50 gigabytes. Then if you exceed your 50 gigabyte cap, they send you a nasty little message saying you've exceeded your 50 gigabyte cap, and now we're going to give you the dregs of our service. We're going to slow you down. It says only during peak times, but you'll be amazed what counts as peak times. And I've been struggling with this YOLO box. And then I made a discovery. And then, do I want to go straight here and go to 435? Let's go straight. I think this is weakening. It's getting ready to come into Topeka. A green light we're admiring. You can see how distracted I am by not finishing my thoughts. So I made a discovery on the YOLO box that when I try to multi-stream, meaning streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time, it goes through the YOLO box company server, where they sends a signal to the server and then the server sends it out. Well, that slows it way down and causes all sorts of signal loss. And today I experimented. Hey, yes, I'm in Kansas City. Somebody's talking to me. It's about to get to Topeka, I think. Yeah, I see that. So I gotta finish my thought. One thought. So there, I've discovered a way today to turn off the multi-stream, and this way it streams directly using your hotspot. And my signal loss has been manageable today. I mean, it still kind of goes out once in a while. So anyway, I am where am I? I'm on, what is this? Missouri 45? Yeah, I think it's Missouri 45. Heading west. I'm about to enter Parkville, the city limits of Parkville. I'm going to skirt the north part of Parkville, head west to 435, and then maybe head south to the, whatchamacallit? South to the Speedway, the Kansas Speedway, Nebraska Furniture Mart, the Legends, and then see what's what from there. If I head west from there, or if I wait there, because that's a pretty good vantage But I caught it when it looked awesome. I caught it at the very tail end of its life. When everybody else caught it, they kind of was like, well, it looks like a bunch of rain, but there's a tornado in there somewhere. And that was when? 2 years ago? 2000... No, it wasn't 2018. I think it was 2019. Last year was 2020. And in addition to it being just the world's most miserable year, it wasn't great for storm chasing, at least not for me. I'm taking what I can get. Yeah. All of a sudden, English doesn't work for me. But thank you for commenting. At least I know I'm streaming and there's somebody out there that can receive it. I mean, I know I'm streaming because my box is telling me what my quality is, really. 14 frames per second. Now, I know that's not the best way to look at it, but I can't read the kilobytes because that's too long a number. It's like 1776 right now. But it's not that it's a bad number to remember or anything. It's 1884. It's just that it's so small. 3003. I haven't had any drop frames. I think that might be partly because everybody's home, and there are some people out, mostly younger people out for adventure and trying to get whatever they're trying to get. I hope they get it and they stay safe. North Missouri 45. Even though it's westbound through here, it eventually bends north and heads towards Leavenworth and I think St. Joseph. But through here it goes west, and this is also known as Tom Watson Parkway. Tom Watson is a famous golfer. I think he's passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. He's a famous golfer who's originally from Parkville. Parkville is a very pleasant little town. It's actually very close to Kansas City, but far enough away that it isn't like really in Canada. It's got a very nice boutique-y downtown area. It's home of Park University, a 4-year university, a very small one, and it's pretty much, I need to get over, I think. No, I don't. It's pretty much named after, I believe, the founder of the town and the founder of the university. His last name was Park. Not that it's called Parkville because it's one big park, although it does have a nice big park in it too, called English Landing. I go there quite a lot to walk the doggies. You can see the Missouri River, and if you pop your drone up, you can see downtown. As a matter of fact, you're right next to the Missouri River. You can touch the Missouri River from English Landing Park. I need to say it right. I'm saying English. And I've flown my drone there, and that's how I know if you look off in the distance, you can see downtown with the river in the foreground. Excuse me. now you need to pay up, sucker. But this little app lets you see the storm sort of in 3D. It's pretty cool. I don't know the name of it. I just saw it, so I'll try it today, see what happens. So far, it's been pretty good. I was noticing that the storm, there's like two cells that are sort of joined together. They're about to plow into Topeka, and they were looking like they were petering out. Now they look like they're building back up again, and that's very common with storms, is that they cycle, and when they become tornadic, yeah, there's still a tornado warning. Although, how old is my data? Oh, my data is old. Never mind. I think I may need to rectify that situation. I almost said another word, but I need to not have the old potty mouth. So we have 3 little kids that we're taking care of. Little, they're starting to become bigger kids now. And the eldest kid, we went to this place called Retail Rebel. My wife was telling me, oh, you know that Amazon has 2 stores where they bring in returned items. You should go to, we should go there and look all the way down to Olathe to the Retail Rebel, which is, I guess, where they bring all the returned items from Amazon. Try and resell them, then to try and ship them back, I guess. And I don't know, it's such a huge operation. I don't know how it's all underwritten, how they get their money, but we kind of figured out their game today. And their game is they take a bunch of stuff, like the most worthless crap, and they dump it in all these bins, and you just have to sort through the bins by hand. It's actually my kind of store. And on the very first day that they do that, which I believe is Saturday, they say each item costs $10. And then as people kind of go through the bins and sort through and pick out all the good stuff and the lesser stuff that is becoming less and less desirable, the bigger the sale gets, up to 80% off. I guess on Thursday or something like that. Well, anyway, so we had the dogs with us, so Saya and I were sitting in the car while my wife and the 2 boys were in the store. And she sends me this picture that the eldest kid found in one of the bins. And he goes up to my wife, his Aunt Suyen, and he says, what is this? And she's like, oh my God. And she takes a picture of it. It's a big dildo. And she sends it to me and said, look at what Zach found. And I responded, are you going to buy it? And she responded by showing me that she didn't appreciate my comment. So then later on we get in the car and we start talking about that thing again. And I'm like, did Zach happen to wash his hands after handling that thing? And she's like, well, there's nowhere for him to wash his hands. Why? I said, well, because these are returned items. And she started laughing and going, oh my God. And she's like, Zach, don't put your hands in your mouth. Yeah. For the most part, I think that store is kid-friendly, but yeah, I am glad he really didn't know what that thing was. And then me and the middle child, Saya, who's obviously a girl, we're walking through, and I saw it sitting at the top of the bin. And I said, don't look at that thing, Saya. Ooh, there's a pretty frisky storm out by Salina. All right, let me see if I can rectify this. Bluetooth iPhone. Not connected. Oh, that's alright, connected. Now that my radar will update. Yes. I'm live on the channel, Kansas City Area Storm Chase. My gaydar has not updated yet. Alright. I can see where I am. Alright, it's starting to update. Yes, I think it's updated. Alright, that storm north of Council Grove is the friskiest thing in town, but there's no longer a tornado warning. I can see all the storm chasers coming home. They're all in a line with the Topeka. That's probably all the Topeka storm chasers. Probably some people from Kansas City. What is this thing out behind? Wow, that thing over by... That is so far out. That's pretty frisky looking. Alright, let's get to where the storm is and where I am. What we got over my head, falling on me now, is just some stuff that's out ahead of it. Now, who knows, it might develop. Oh, the other thing was, is that still current? Yeah, there's a severe thunderstorm warning just to our west. Like right up to Lawrence, Kansas. Wow, this store looks closed. No, it's not closed. It's just got very tinted windows or something. Drive like a grandpa. There are way too many storm chasers out there who love to play up the drama. Oh my God, and you know, they're racing their car engines and you know, screaming and shouting at the top of their lungs, drive faster. And I predict there may be a time when storm chasing will either be illegal or will have to be a licensed occupation, because there are way too many people who abuse abuse it. It's like safety last kind of thing. Not only their safety, but the safety of everybody else on the road. And you know, maybe a majority of the storm chasers out there might not fit into that, but just enough to fit into that category that, and it's not worth it to catch a tornado. There's a long trail behind the bow. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, there is. There's a... I think they were saying that it wasn't going to be a really bad flooding event, but we'll see. I don't know if it's trying to form a bow echo. I'm not sure if it's doing it. Usually with a bow echo, you can see the gust front on the radar. Usually it kind of forms a perfect bow out in front. And you know, bow echoes, especially at night when a lot of them tend to form, are the worst things to chase in the world. Because if there is a tornado embedded in them, it's embedded, it's rain wrapped, it's dark. A lot of times they happen on the north side of the bow, where there's a spin that takes place, and it'll drop a very brief tornado, although sometimes those tornadoes can be pretty destructive. And people don't even know that it's been a tornado until the next day, because nobody can see it. I mean, you have to be right there, and even if you're right there, it could be right on top of you. You wouldn't even know it, because it'd be rain wrapped in the dark. I see a new severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, this is looking like it might be I'm probably going to butcher the word, a derecho event. Let's hope and pray it's not as destructive as the one that hit Iowa, in August 2020, last year. I say, I'm gonna be driving like a grandpa. We have just entered the great state of Kansas. It's like we've entered the state of Kansas. We're greeted with heavy rain, starting to hail in Topeka. Well, I don't need to hear about the hail. I don't like hail. I'd rather deal with the wind. Hail is when I seek out shelter. I do not need to have a destroyed car. Well, I'm saying cycling. It looks like it's weakening a little, but I kind of preceded what my thoughts are, is that it will be cycling, meaning it'll go down and then it'll pop back up again. And one of the things I learned, one of the few seminars actually, when I was working at Channel 4, they had me go shoot one of the National Weather Service seminars, and I was just listening in on what they were saying, and they were talking about the Greensburg tornado. And the Greensburg, Kansas tornado, when was that, 2007, was, I believe they said, the third of 4 tornadoes that formed out of the same storm. And they were saying they've been studying these things, and that's very common with storms, that they will pulse, they will cycle, they will build up in strength, die down, build up, die down, build up. And they say it usually does it in, for whatever reason, in 4s. And they said that the first tornado is usually not very strong, the second one is stronger, the third one is usually the strongest and most destructive, and then the fourth one is not as strong as the third one. And the tornado that hit Greensburg, Kansas head on was an EF5. Pretty much flattened the town, wiped it off the map. If you go to Greensburg, Kansas now, you will visit a brand new town. They overlaid the tracks of the Greensburg tornado over the Kansas City metropolitan area. And they said, if this were to actually somehow happening would be destruction on a scale that you would not even be able to imagine. And we don't even want to imagine how many people would be injured or killed by this. And they're like, fortunately, we haven't had too many tornadic events like this form over major metropolitan areas. In 2003, where I'm driving right now, a very destructive tornado hit Kansas City. When was that? May 2nd? May 5th. I can't remember the exact day. It was early May. And it formed right here, right where I'm at. Maybe a little bit west of here. And took a track from here. Essentially, it hit the speedway, but the speedway was under construction. And there was a video that a guy shot. He brought it into the TV station. I was an editor at the time. I'm an editor now. Really moved up in life, but I was an editor at the time, and I knew how to get the stuff out of people's camcorders into our stuff so we could put it on the air. And he brought in, he had a Canon GL2, I can't even remember. It was pretty high-end 3-chip camera, consumer camera at the time. And he was sharing the footage with us. And he was over here in this parking lot over here where I'm coming into right now. And this funnel cloud just formed and boom, right next to his car. I told him, maybe I'm getting the date wrong, maybe it's 2018, maybe it's 2019. I came out here and caught the tail end of that one that nailed, what's the area west of here? That's not the name of it. It's not called yeah, that area west of here, pretty much along I-70. I know it's got a name. I'll pass by it and then I'll remember it maybe. But it did a number, and I almost nailed. Let's just say the towns of Bonner Springs and Edwardsville are very lucky. They missed out on the fun. But I parked north of the speedway and I saw it, and it came right over the speedway and went to the northeast. And we also got lucky where I live because that thing went right over the house, but it didn't hit our house. And I believe it did form up later and kind of did some damage around Excelsior Springs. But the major damage that it did was up here, about a couple of miles here. Oh, thanks. About a penny. Pretty bad hail right now. Alright, well, thanks for making me aware. I will watch out for that. I do not need to deal with hail. I can sit under an awning somewhere and watch the hail and get a little video of it. Be perfectly contented with that. I don't need to be driving in it. I am now on the turnpike, and I am driving like a grandpa, and I wish this guy behind me would just go around. It says I'm doing 28 frames per second, and 0 drops, so I'm doing pretty good. I don't know how I'll start getting out into Kansas, although for whatever reason there's a lot of good internet along the interstates. being pulled off. No, this is yes, this is an exit only. Oh, sorry, Mr. Pokey Knee is going to be in front of you. I am very thankful for the messages you're sending me and letting me know that I am streaming to another human being somewhere. And that's very helpful. Although I will tell you that I probably might take me a while to notice the message because I'm keeping my eyes on the road and not on the displays. If I have to, I can pull over, and I can pull over up here at the, what do you call it? At the, I really can't talk tonight. Rest area up here, the service center. There you go. There was a mesoscale discussion, I don't know if it's still current, talking about that the areas from Kansas City on east towards the southeast into the Ozarks of Missouri are going to be, it was talking about a tornado watch. Mesoscale discussion, blah, 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 blah. I think it's about 2 hours old now. And it was saying, tornado watch likely. So I do think that the Weather Service is expecting this stuff to stay frisky tonight. And it won't be very long for me to catch up to this because it's moving really fast. What is that? North of Burlington. Ooh, the storm chasers are kind of, they're no longer linear. They're kind of spreading out. They're like ants spreading out. And, they might be thinking, oh, we are about ready to head home, but maybe we'll just kind of chase this for a little while longer. It's getting interesting. Let me see if I can adjust my... Oh, no, that didn't work. Somebody pulled over up here. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting pattern is forming. Yeah, Pika, I think a little while because it looks like there's this line of, it's pretty frisky. And maybe it would have been wise for me to go north on I-29 and chase up there because, like I say, the north end of a bow echo is usually where you might find the tornado stuff. picture of what I-70 looks like. Maybe I can do big picture, little picture. Next. See it now. It's pretty copious lightning. Picture in picture. That's what the yellow box can do. Most of the lightning is up to my north and west. I'm coming up on the I-70 East Turnpike entrance. I don't know. I have done this before. But now they don't have people. These things aren't manned. I'm thinking I might end up getting here, going a little ways, and then turning around and basically riding the front eastward. And I just had this thought about the turnpike that I might confuse the whole system by entering and exiting the same entry. Now, the turnpike will not charge me. I know that. But it might go, what are you trying to pull here? And then it'll say, we're going to charge you the maximum. We're going to treat this like a lost ticket. Oh, what am I reaching for my wallet for? Well, it's too late to think about that now. They had the progressive lady, you know, the advertising. And I'm like, somebody blackened out her tooth. And I'm thinking, how in the heck did somebody have the time going through the turnpike to blacken out her tooth with a marker? That is just crazy. Crazy, I tell you. Okay, I can see the, I believe that's the shelf cloud I'm looking at. The shelf cloud is the area of cool air that comes down the front of the storm as the rain is behind it. It cools the air and draws the moisture down. It condenses and forms this awesome looking structure. A lot of times it's accompanied by rain cooled air rushing outward, which we call the gust front. And a lot of people see that and mistakenly call it the tornado. Oh, I see a funnel cloud, oh my god. No, that's not a tornado. That's just actually pretty normal. You know, if and a lot of times the clouds may actually roll in front of it, but they're rolling horizontally, not vertically. Vertically touching the ground, tornado. Horizontally, not tornado. And there's a joke out there about a lot of sheriff's departments, You know, they'll go out in their cars and they'll act as spotters, but they're not very well trained. And they don't know what they're looking at. They're just, go out there and tell me if there's a tornado coming. Radio it in. And so they see what is jokingly being referred to as SLCs, scary looking clouds. And they'll call it in, I see a tornado. And so the sirens go off. People go in their basements. Well, and in the Midwest, they go outside with their cameras. They don't go in their basements. And, or they just ignore it. And all this drama and everything happens, and the weather service is scratching their heads because they're looking at their radar and they're going, I don't even see rotation. There's no radar indication of anything out there. Matter of fact, it's just a run-of-the-mill thunderstorm. So they've taken to calling those sheriff-nados. But the one that's even worse than that, with the popularity of Storm Chasers and the TV show that was out like over 10 years ago now. Yeah, probably about, way over 10 years ago now. And, you know, and just it being in the limelight of media and everything and talking about it, I'm going to maybe go up here and see what's what. Oh, no, there's an exit I can take if I want to take it. It put me on 40 highway, but my brother decided anything or any more experience or have any more right than anybody else. But a lot of these people are like the ne'er-do-wells, those methanados. That is true about Midwest people, but I've been watching these videos done by, it's called It's a Southern Thing, and they made that joke about Southerners too. They say, oh yeah, you can tell a Southerner in a tornado warning. They're the ones going outside and looking for it with their now it's cell phones going, let's get the video. Of course, I'm not one to talk. Look at me. I'm out driving out in it. Well, maybe this stuff isn't moving as fast as I thought it was because it seems like it's taking its sweet time. Looks like we've added more to the severe thunderstorm warning boxes. Are you gonna let me? Because yeah, there you go, Mr. Brights on. Mr. Big Old Truck with all your lights want to be seen. Yep. There's that boogie buggy. Alrighty, this could be as good a place as any to observe. Kind of a lot of light pollution. Let's see, do I want to try and eat something bad? No, I don't want to eat anything bad. I got my tea here. These trucks are all parked where I want to park, and that's but I'm not a trucker, so I'm not going to park over there. I'm not going to take away from some truck drivers' need to be up here. Yeah, like I say, there's a lot of light pollution out here. What is this one say? I can't read any much more than that because be out of the way, and yet. And it looks like there's this little. They're going to be, what is that person doing driving out there? There's not supposed to be anybody out there. I can get that. Ooh, lots of scud. Pardon-moi, I'm gonna get out of the car. You got my little handy dandy. Oh, I see TVS markers. Tornado vortex signal. I am just south of one. I am directly south of Tonganoxie. Blogging camera. That thing didn't disappear on me. It's always popping off. The wide angle lens. Awesome looking scud clouds. So, alright. First storm chase of the year. Ooh. And I'm just parked here south of Tonganoxie, and I am directly, the gust front is just hitting me as it's like a line of storms is trying to form a bow echo. I'm holding my hat in the wind. I don't know if you can really use this microphone. Pretty awesome looking. Saying rotation in Lawrence. I would believe it actually now. This is my live stream set up, and there's actually somebody watching, and they're giving me good information. And here's I can make this kind of a 3D looking thing, which is pretty awesome. I discovered this app today, just in time. Let me look. Rotation in Lawrence. I see the... Yeah, we're at a gust front. And it's possible that something could be spinning up. I see some pretty low scud clouds. I don't see any like obvious tornado looking stuff. Of course, it doesn't help to have face lights on there. Like I say, if it starts hailing, I'm bailing. Wonderful little toy called the Osmo Pocket, which is a tiny little gimbal camera. And actually it works well in low light, but I don't have the best control. I also have my, I might employ that. No sense in not using my tools. There it is. Oh, it's a little loose. Alrighty. Why don't we see? And then Lawrence. Yeah, I don't see it. Alright, let's let this gust front chase us on home. Ticket machine has to say about us coming in and leaving at the same exit. We can only hope that maybe the turnpike will say, oh, no charge, have a nice day. Right. Right. There's smack. And you'll pretty much see what I'm seeing, which is lots of lightning. And the wind is pretty frisky. Although it starts starts hailing, I'm going to that awning. Last chance. Say, it starts hailing, I'm bailing. I am right here. I'm actually just east of Lawrence. So it should be where I am at now. Okay, whatever. That's not very helpful. There we go. Aren't we having fun now? I don't know how fast these things are moving, but I'm in the muck. And I could probably say that now I'm in the severe thunderstorm warning area. I love the smell of rain. It seems to me that everything is blowing out of the northwest. Yeah, I know there's something in Salina. I don't see a warning. Salina's gotten hammered tonight. You can see what I'm seeing, which is very, very torrential rain. Although it's probably hard to make out on that camera. It doesn't show up very well. Visibility has come down to about nothing. Especially when you see headlights coming at you. thunderstorm. I can feel it buffeting me, blowing me around a little bit. Probably will not see any funnels until it's too late. Maybe towards the west of here, the stuff that's forming up. And these are not like isolated little thunderstorms. I'm not paying too much attention. I'm really paying attention to the road. It's kind of a bow shape. The bow is like forming a line that goes straight back to Topeka and then into Salina. I think that in general it's going to come south, so you'll probably see some I-70. I'm on I-70. I'm at the East Turnpike exit. Now I got to figure out where I need to be. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do because I got on and came off. Pay toll. Cash vehicle pay toll. Pay tag only. Yeah, I'm not pay tag. I don't travel this road enough to be pay tag. Thing is open and probably not manned. They decided that human beings are too expensive, so everything is becoming automated now. And if I get entangled with this poor guy behind me is going to be like, what's going on up there? Please let there be a human. Please let there be a human. Please let there be a human. There's no human, I don't think. Or is there? Oh yeah, there's somebody moving around inside, I think. Oh, thank the maker, C-3PO would say. I can much more better explain to a human what I did than a machine. Mom. Sorry about that.
25 cents. I can't rent a car for a quarter.
Oh, you said 25 cents. Sorry about that. Thank you. You know, it's funny when you drive, it always seems to be, oh no, don't do that to me. Dang it. I just got some hail. As I was trying to say, when you drive, it seems so much worse. And then when you just sit still, it's like, oh, that's just rain. But that isn't rain, that's hail. Time to bail. Find an awning. too afraid of this kind of hail. It's just been a couple of pings, and it's probably about pea size. Although I can't see it. I can only hear it. Yeah, the entrance was automated. I can understand that. All you got to do is figure out how to take a ticket. But the getting off the turnpike, I've had those where they were completely automated, and I had an issue. Alright, we're coming up to Bonner Springs. Ha 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 ha. Oh, and I need to bail. There's some hail. That's getting pretty intense. Me biting my lip. Ooh, hydroplaning. Yeah, I don't know if you heard, when I exited, it cost me 25 cents. Just out of habit, I was handing her my card, and she said, I can't run that just for a quarter. I was like, oh yeah, I have a quarter right here. 3/4 of a mile, and then I gotta find an awning. There's a trip quick. You can probably sort of see the hail. I think it's still pea-sized. Here's my bail. Somewhere up here. And the rain is lightening up. Ooh, that was a nice strike of lightning. Very blinding. There's the thunder. Bonner Springs, Lawrence, or Bonner Springs, Leavenworth. Duh. And a lot of times when I do these chases, I will have my poor dogs with me. I don't have anybody with me right now. It's just me, myself, and I. The missus said, what did she say to me the other day? Oh, she was talking to Zach, the oldest kid, and she said, maybe someday your uncle will take you out storm chasing with him. And I said, no, I can't. That would be an inappropriate act. People would start screaming at me, you brought a child with you for that? And they probably be right. Itty bitty hard rain. Oh yeah, thanks Lewis and us. Yeah, I have you guys with me. Something must be working with the old YouTube algorithm for me tonight, because I usually don't get very many viewers. The algorithm and I don't get along. Alright, my preference would be Trip Quick. And it's not hailing severe enough now that I have to go up here and if I had my druthers of secondary roads, I would rather take Call Drive. Here is Trip Quick. Oh, excuse me. I guess maybe I should actually stop at that light. Good old Trip Quick. There's a first responder of some sort. Phew, something doesn't smell right around here. There's Popo. Yeah. Whew, it's good to get out of that. Yeah, my wife was telling me that she thought Sunday was going to be cold. It's like 55 degrees right now. What do we have? Oh. Well, it looks like the storm is at my house. Am I even in? Hey, I am no longer in a severe thunderstorm warning. That's east of me now. If it would stop hailing, I would get out in it again. Yeah, that would be ironic. TVS. Right by my house. I'm doing my bloggy thing. Whoops. I don't need that. Why am I trying to open a door? What I need is that. So I I turned back at the service center on I-70 and headed straight back east. And I'm taking shelter under an awning here at Quick Trip. Because it started hailing. It's hailing severe enough that I didn't want to risk it with the car. Now I think I can chance it. We'll try it here. It looks like the people that are here are not here for gas. Well, maybe. I saw some people look like they were here for doing the same thing I'm doing, but all right, we're gonna chance it. We're gonna head back towards the house. Yeah, I think I used to drive I had a pickup truck, and I was storm chasing in that thing, and it was a really nice pickup truck and cost a lot of money and everything and yada yada, and first time I went out in a storm chase with the missus, we got out into a hailstorm just like this, pea-size hail. It's like, oh my God, this truck, we spent so much money on it. And we could never park it in a garage, and I think ironically it did get some hail damage on the hood one time, but I think that was from being parked in the backyard. Not in the backyard, in the back driveway. One little ding, like right in the middle of the hood, and I'm like, that's from hail. Yeah, you have a stop. Thank you. It's a four-way stop, people. It's not slow down and then go and hope somebody didn't kill you. I'm gonna drink some of this tea. Lots of lightning in this. I am taking Claw Drive back. I think the worst part of what I've gone through is over. Hopefully I haven't shed any paint on the way or gotten any dings. Yeah, hail is the worst. I hate hail. Although generally hail is not life-threatening. It can be, but yeah, I'm out of the red and I'm coming into the yellows. Well, let's see. And best of both worlds. Although I think I made that little box with me a little bit too big. This yellow box is strange. It sounds like I'm saying yellow box. It's YOLO box, but it's hard to say that right. It's strange. It makes you, I haven't figured out a way you can save your settings in it. So you have to go in every time and set up your, like this picture-in-picture deal and the side-by-side one. Maybe there is a way I can do that. Let's see, what do we have? Tattoo, liquor. Nothing too stimulating for me. Although there is an interesting store up here in Bonner Springs. It's called Moon Marble Company. And they make marbles in there. And they have all sorts of toys. I have to bring the kids there someday. I have to figure out when they're open. They might be open on Sundays. Man, the kids would love that place. And the guy that runs it he's a very interesting fellow. I gotta be cognizant of my exit. Maybe we'll sneak up on you here. Here it is, Call Drive, Front Street, exit 1 mile. I love driving Call Drive. It's like a little mini Route 66 in the Kansas City area. It's one of the nice drives. It's full of roadhouses and a lot of secondhand stores, a lot of industrial. You know, one of the best things for me being a definitely, it's awesome. I miss we would do. They have an event. I forget what time of year it is. Maybe it's in the spring. It's called Marble Madness, and they have all sorts of artists come in making. They're doing their glass blowing and making their marbles and other types of glass art. And we go shoot that every year. Channel 4. When I worked with, I'm gonna name drop here. When I worked with Carrie Wickersham, and that's one of the things I miss about shooting is getting that. It's fun trying to figure out how to shoot the marbles in such a way, you know, when they were using them, because they'd have like marble, the game, marble, old-fashioned marble shooting contest. I just realized, though, I'm on the west side of Bonner Springs, so I won't be passing by that place. Closed anyway, but I mean, that's my idea of an interesting shop to go to. As a matter of fact, I've been looking for things to shoot on my own. I might see if I can go back there just because I miss it and go shoot it. I forget the name of the guy, but he's a very interesting character. Yeah, it does look like it's all weakening a bit. Now the real hardcore storm chasers, they're like, oh, I'm so disappointed. I didn't get my EF5 tornado. But me, I'm like, if I hadn't eaten a good dinner earlier, thanks to the wife, actually thanks to Taqueria Mexico, Lindo, this would be the time I would be hunting for a Casey's or an Awful House or something and have a late tornado chasing, storm chasing snack. Oh, there's something laying in the road there. I don't know what that was. But yeah, what's awesome about Call Drive too is, and I hope one shows up, is it's the tracks, railroad tracks, parallel, very busy Union Pacific tracks, coming into the rail yard in KCK. I forget the name of the yard. It's been so long, I can't remember this stuff anymore. But you know, if you get a train just right, you can sit here, you can get in the slow lane because they're usually going slower than the cars, and you can pace the train. It's just so awesome, you know, when it's not raining like it is. You roll your window down and the train is right next to you and blowing its whistle. And if you're a video nut like me, you can set up a camera and capture it. It's just awesome shots. There's a lot of water in the roads. There's a lot of hydroplaning here. Let's see. Oh yeah, I never really thought about that. Marbles with a small torch. Oh, you mean like a butane torch? Yeah, that's making me laugh because I remember they have the kiln where they heat up the glass, and the hole in the kiln where they stick the rod in, now it's starting to sound really perverted, it's called the glory hole. And now that I think about it, it probably does have some references to something perverted, but it literally is called the glory hole. And I'm remembering that because the reporter I work with, who I used to work with, is pretty innocent when it comes to this kind of thing, and she wrote it in her story, and it said, and the hole in the kiln is called the glory hole. And I'm like snickering and well, thank you for watching. That's makes me feel really good that I actually have some viewers for once. And now I'm going to sound like the loneliest guy. I know I do all the wrong things on this social media stuff, because quite honestly, I'm busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest with other stuff, namely work and kids. It is just so amazing that I could even get out. And you know, I love the smell of the rain and the sound of it. I will be able to sleep well tonight, as one of the other YouTubers I watch always says. Hotel and sleep well. Major hydroplaning. Yeah, they are pretty nuts. I have to, like I say, I apologize if I'm not responding to all the comments or noticing them right away, because I'm keeping my eyes on the road. It's pretty hard to see. I'm just kind of glancing over and kind of like getting the gist of things, but I mean, even though I'm not really on the red, this is turning out to be quite the derecho event, but I don't think there's as much wind as there was, and I think a lot of it's going to be rain from here on out. But other than the sound of me yammering, it's probably pretty pleasant to hear the rain. Now, if we'd only scare up a train, there's no trains going eastbound here, so I don't think I'll be able to pace one tonight. There was a running joke when I would go out shooting with the reporters that in every story I was going to try and at least get one train in every story. I wasn't deliberately trying to do that, but we were shooting. There was a time when we were shooting a lot of stories that happened to be close to railroad tracks and a train would come by. Sometimes that would be really annoying because you'd be in the middle of an interview and it'd be like the train would drown out everything. You'd have to stop and wait. And you know how reporters are, they're very impatient. getting pelted? Wow. As if to not make me even more confused. Oh, out by Raytown. Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. It's like your last name is Lovely, and Catherine's last name is Lowry. And I glanced over and I'm like, I had to do a double check because I thought it was the same person responding. I was like, oh, wait a second. Oh. Part of the Jackson County now in Missouri. I've got this wonderful radar app on my phone. It allows me to look at this stuff in 3D, which is very interesting. What's good about it is even on this small screen, I can see it at a glance without looking at a bunch of clutter and everything. So I have radar scope on my, yeah, and that looks updated. Radar scope on my iPad, and everything is running off of my my cell phone's hotspot, which my internet service provider loves very much. Let me tell you, I'm trying to shop for another plan. So I go about half a month the way I live stream all the time, and then whoop, it doesn't want to do it anymore. My unlimited internet becomes not so unlimited. There's some big puddles of water here on Caw Drive. I'm on Caw Drive, actually, a mile 27 on Caw Drive, which is what? Means I'm 27 miles from the state line. Really? Am that far out? Ooh, the Kansas proof. It's a North Face hat. I don't generally like brand names, but and I don't really like North Face. Actually, well, I don't mind it. I don't care. I just don't like having branding on my clothing so much. So I wanted to make it as a joke, where I turn the North Face symbol upside down, and instead of having it South Face, you kind of pick when the drive terminates at the interstate. I was listening to Gary Lezak when he was talking about this stuff. Very fast moving. Here I am. I don't know much about weather, actually. I can't predict it. I can't. So, storms. I know enough about storm chasing. Pretty much know where to go find the tornadoes if they're there. I don't know, maybe eventually I'll do a little more reading and I'll get a little more educated on some other aspects of it, like how I can better pinpoint where a tornado will be. Although that's, I was going to say that's more like magic, but there are some people who can consistently time. And one of those is Reed Zimmer, the famous storm chaser from Norman, Oklahoma. Actually, he is originally from Michigan, but he lives in Norman, Oklahoma. And an actual official meteorologist. And you know, if you can, he is pretty amazing. He gets himself in the right spot. Entertaining, and he is a meteorologist. And what he's doing is interesting. Instead of doing what a lot of meteorologists do, TV station or some service like AccuWeather or whatever, he went out on his own and became a YouTuber. And he calls himself Ryan Hall. That's his real name. He probably doesn't call himself that. He has affectations when he talks. Like, and he goes by on YouTube, he goes by Ryan Hall, y'all, lately. And he's been trying to live stream, but for some reason he can't. He's a little bit I don't like these vehicles with graphics and everything on them. I think that's unnecessary. But he got this truck and he's out storm chasing it, and on his first chase out, and they have an accident. And it turned out that it was actually their fault. But as he pointed out, it was on a really bad stretch of road, chasing at night in a storm like this. And he said a saying that I never thought of before, but I know it's true. He said, most dangerous part of storm chasing is actually driving. And he wasn't driving the truck. He actually had a guy drive it for him so he could pay attention to the clutter. And it really humbles me, and I'm very apologetic for it. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. And when it happened, we thought it was the other guy's fault. We thought the guy drove into our lane. But as it turned out, the highway they were on bends. Well, the highway they are on goes straight, but the highway that they were coming into bends, and they had the right of way for whatever reason, and they missed a stop sign. I am now in Kansas City, Kansas, and there's some fancy lights up here. Kansas City, Kansas proper. I can at least do some urban searching around, and it would help if I had something I'm working on getting, a police scanner. I've ordered it. Man, that thing is expensive. With all the accessories. But yeah, I'm getting up on it. I mean, it's not really a pain. And you can get a kit that will allow you to actually grab the stuff you need off the internet and program your scanner that way. Although I found that's not the best, because you get a lot of clutter and noise and everything. And the scanner that I got, it says it will come pre-programmed with your settings. All you have to do is tell them what you want, and that's part of the cost. And so I've got it, hopefully it'll come to me set up. All I got to do is plug it in, make sure the battery gets charged, and I'm going to sleep in and get up, have dinner, probably about 7 or 8 at night, and go cruise for news, as they would say. Listen to the scanner and drive around the city, and I'm thinking of calling it Crazy City. You know, get it? Kansas City, Crazy City. And listen to the scanner in Kansas City, and if I hear something, I'll go investigate it and get my camera out and shoot. And I don't know if there's anybody that's doing it in Kansas City, and whole mess as far as the radar can see. Although, you know, I think I'm seeing what I can see on the Topeka radar as far as it'll stretch out. And like I say, this app is wonderful. Watch, I'll find tomorrow, I'll say, your free trial is up. Now pay us $80 a month. That's how they seem to work it these days. It's called Weather Lab, or Weather Lab. It works on Apple devices. I'm not sure if it'll work on Android devices. The mile on Central is a rather notorious street in KCK. If it wasn't raining so hard, there'd be certain corners that you would stop at, and there'd be some young ladies there to greet you, and maybe not some so young ladies, and they would be there to greet you and say, hey, mister, you want something? And I don't know, I'm in KCK. I was just talking about that. On the ever so notorious Central Avenue. I'm about to, alright, the road is doing Central Avenue is notorious for the first thing I mentioned, also for the fact that it just twists and turns so much. I'm about to cross over the Missouri state line and come into the West Bottoms. All right, mister, I hope you're going to stay there. I'm not this side. You have the green light, and I don't. There's a coffee house up here. I wonder if they're still in business. I think they are. I've been here once. Yeah, there it is. Split Log Coffee. It looks like it's expanded even. Wow. Well, there's a bar here. Chicago's. Well, I do have to wrap this up pretty soon. I'll stream until I get home. The weather is pretty much the severe stuff. I don't think there's any severe warnings anymore. There's not even any flood warnings. Although I do see like to the southwest of Auric. That's a fun town name to say, Auric. Try and say that without messing it up. Auric. What is going on here? I can't go no further. I don't think I want to go any further. I would end up a long drive off a short bridge. Did I miss a sign or something? Uh-oh. Oh, my camera decided to turn itself off and turn itself on. Oh, no, it just turned itself off. Never mind. Yeah, this camera has been, oh, it did turn itself on. This camera has been problematic. I hate it when technology starts not acting right. It's very distracting. And oftentimes it'll pick the time to do it when you are in an area where you can't be distracted. Alright, let's see if we can get across on James Street. I'm really determined to hit the West Bottoms. Exit only, James Street. I think this camera needs to be taken in the house and charged up all the way. These cameras use the micro USB, which I really hate. And among the things the micro USB is really bad about is it's a very slow trickle charge. And oftentimes if you leave your device running that uses that USB port, it will drain faster than it'll charge, especially if your battery gets low. This battery is low, so I'm gonna probably see if I can take it into the house. I'll bring the little cord that goes with it. I have a new charger at the house. We went shopping today. Oh yeah, we're coming around by Kemper. We're on, well, if I turn off up here, if I can figure out where I turn off. I know the West Bottoms better than I'm making out. I used to live down here. Literally, I lived in the West Bottoms. 2001. That's where I was when 9/11 happened. But I'm looking for 9th Street. And that'll take me straight east into the Missouri West Bottoms. I'm still technically in Kansas, like straddling the state line. It says Central Avenue, but actually it's 9th Street. Watch, I make a fool out of myself. Oh, how'd I get lost? There's a new place right here. This is the state line right here. And there's a new place right here on the corner. It's not a new building per se, but somebody moved into the building. What's it called? 9th and State. I think I don't know what that is. It looked to me like it was a bar, but now that I look at it, it almost looks like it could be a coffee house. That would be. I know the place on the inside, and it had a built-in, one of the most beautiful, longest natural bars. Natural meaning like it's been there probably 100. I'm exaggerating. A long time, but it could be a 100-year-old bar. Uh-oh, train. I'll be blocked here. I don't think I can go around this one. If I were on the other side of the train, I could. Oh! This is our buddy, the Locatrol locomotive. Although I would hate to be trying to remote control this thing in this kind of weather. I hope he's in the cab. And I may know the guy who does the Locatrol. He used to hang out at the coffee house, YJ's, that I used to hang out before it shut down. It could be somebody else, but I knew a guy who did Locatrol. His name is Clark. I don't know what his last name is. He was a pretty interesting guy, let me tell you. He was very grumpy all the time. He liked to mess around with people. But if you know the West Bottoms, you know how to get around trains. And you can tell people who aren't familiar with the West Bottoms because they sit and they wait for the trains to go by. Oh, there it is. The gates went down. Got to stay here. But they built this bridge, and there's always been some sort of way to get around the train. Even before this bridge was here, this was a way to get around trains. But one of the reasons I know the West Bottom so well is because I come down here to watch trains. And a lot of people do. One of the busiest train watching hotspots in Kansas City is down here. Now I'm on the other side of the train. I could try and drive through the alley by the ship, although I don't know if you can do that anymore. There's this place up here, it's kind of interesting, called the Ship. But it's not here. It's on this street over here, I think. Oh, yeah, I turned on the wrong street. Woo, it smells fresh down here. Thank God this is not smell-o-vision. If you're smelling what I'm smelling, you'd be like, ugh. There's a little coffee shop I want to try out up here, but I haven't been able to hit it when they were open. It's called Cafe, and it's right here over to the left. And it's a coffee shop run by an Asian woman, a Vietnamese woman. But not like a Vietnamese woman, like an old lady or anything. It's like looks like she's in her 20s or 30s. She's pretty young. And with all this Asian hatred stuff. Here's the ship. Not having a good night tonight, I don't think. It doesn't even look like they really open. They probably had something going on in there. They usually have bands on Saturday nights. But I want to try out that place, and I've been saying for years that I think that Asians really get the short end of the stick when it comes to they're like almost a forgotten race of people who deal with a lot of racism in this country. And you know, when you say Asian, it's like which one? I mean, there's the Cambodians, an Asian woman, road closed to through traffic. Road open for vendors. Yeah. Well, I'm not through traffic. I'm just getting to the other side. This bridge, by the way, is awesome. 12th Street Bridge. It's probably one of the most photographed spots in the city. Yeah, I think they need to take their road closed signs down. The event that they close the roads for, and I don't know how they get away with doing this. I hope they're giving the city some money for this or whatever. The events that they're closing the roads for is over. And that's their antique weekends or whatever they call them. I think I'll turn my mic off. Not that mic, my wireless mic for my Osmo Pocket 2. Oh, sorry. It's no longer called Osmo Pocket. Put it on the old charger here. The other camera is charging up. The one that's dead. It's dead, Jim. Have I? No, I've never had any kind of. Not that I can think of. I've been outside of it with the kids. I know I did it with my vlog, you know, at the paddle wheel, but I don't think I've ever done anything inside. And sorry if it seems like, well, you think you would remember that, but I don't particularly remember. Actually, maybe I did one time. I don't remember going down in the display. It's a bad thing. I need to go down there and visit that. I've never been in the Arabia Museum. And I think maybe we did do a live shot there one time. And but it was only at the paddle wheel. And that may have been one of those days. I think what it was, wow, that was good lighting. What it was we were in the river market doing a story about the river market. It was our morning live shot because I did weekend mornings, and so we kind of visited a dress shop and some other vendor, and then we went into the museum, but we didn't go into the museum. We just did it at the paddle wheel. And I think, I'm not sure if we talked to somebody who was in charge of the Arabia Museum or if it was the lady who was a PR person for the river market. Full fried chickens and a Coke. As a matter of fact, I do. And it's funny you say that because I videotaped that band. show. Omega Fest, the last Omega Fest, I do believe. Omega Fest 2000. We shot video of Omega Fest 1999 and Omega Fest 2000. And I'm trying to remember if it was the 99 one or the 2001 or it was 4 fried chickens in a Coke. Even though I know that the Blues Brothers were pretty white bread, if you were thinking of Dan Aykroyd saying, the way he would say it would be 4 fried chickens and a Coke. And if I remember right, it was Aretha Franklin playing the role of the wife of one of the members of the band, and she performed her song, You Better Think What You're Trying to Do to Me. I don't know what the actual name of the song is. And what is it? Dan Aykroyd comes in, he says, I want 4 fried chickens and a Coke, in his very white bread deadpan accent. And what is it John Belushi said? Ooh, this water is pretty high here. Huh. Maybe I will get some flooding. I don't want to get like a water rescue with me being the person they need a water rescue. That would make for an interesting live stream. There's the train coming. But what was it John Belushi said? He wanted toast, plain. How many pieces of toast he wanted? And you didn't happen to be at the last 2 Omega Fests, 1999 and 2000, were you? And it's funny because Omega Fest became the prototype for Wakarusa. And Wakarusa started in Lawrence, and then oddly enough, they moved it over somewhere else, and it was still called Wakarusa, even though the Wakarusa River is in Lawrence. Now this part up here on Southwest Boulevard used to flood, but they have rebuilt the drainage system up here. So supposedly, in theory, if they did their job, it won't flood anymore. What was his name that was the Omega Fest guy? Chuck Baker. He was an interesting character too. I've put quite a lot of that, like, not the whole concert, but like I've tried to pick one band from each song, or one song from each band, and I was working my way through it. I don't think I got done with that little project. If I remember right, it floods under here too, under this railroad overpass. Yeah, you could routinely see, you know how bad the rain would get by how badly it would flood up here. And I remember a couple of years ago, I think I was still working at Channel 4, I came out here, and it was flooded. Where those car headlights are up ahead, it flooded up to there. But it didn't flood bad enough that it was doing damage to any of the businesses. Ooh, the nightlife here is going nuts. Wow, this is like lit up like a Christmas tree around here. I remember when this was the foundry, and a little coffee house downstairs eventually grew out of the foundry called Java Gaia. And I see the guy that ran Java Gaia. I run into him every so often. If I go to Sister Ann's coffee house, I'll see him, usually more often than not. Alright, we're going to do a little turnaround up here because I'm going to go check how they did with their drainage project here, because this part would always flood. If you sweated hard, it would flood. And it looks like it worked. Although I won't say this was a big super flooding event. One lane road ahead. I worked at Channel 4. They'd be like, go get some flooding. And it was so easy to do because all you have to do is just drive down the hill. And you couldn't make it the quick trip here because this whole area. And one year was so bad it flooded the quick trip parking lot. It almost took out this, which is now Minsky's, but I think at the time it may have been still Wade's. I miss Wade's. And the food got it? Yeah. I did mention that Chuck was a character. So here's the funniest thing. I am a guy who does not partake. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke marijuana. Even if it's legal, I won't, it's not my thing. And so we were doing this video where Chuck was really wanting the video done of his thing, and we had a big multi-camera set up, and I was working with these two other characters. One was named was CJ, and I won't go into him. Totally different type of person. And the other one, I'm trying to remember his name, Slick. I don't know his real name, actually, come to think of it. I did know his real name, but he goes by Slick. And I believe he is full-blooded Sioux Indian. But, so I was getting with Chuck, and he was showing me before the concert, because they moved it from the area where they had been holding it to a new spot, and he somehow got in with the Clinton Lake, the Army Corps of Engineers, and they were really into what he was doing. They were like, yeah, you can hold your concert here, no problem. Because they were holding it, the American Rights Festivals and the Omega Festivals were being held on private property. And something was going on with that. I think trouble with the police or something or whatever. So they moved it over to state park property. Yeah, it's kind of flooding down here. Not too bad. There are other parts of the city I could check, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. I don't know if I had that scanner. There I go again. If I I had that scanner right now, I could be hearing whether or not there are water rescues going on, and I would go check them out. But anyway, so we're at the, he was showing me this place where he was going to hold his festival, and I can't remember, because the 1999 Omega Festival was a disaster. I think the last of the Omega festivals was like in the early 90s sometime, like 93, 94. And it was kind of done by a committee, and then I think Chuck kind of was the last holdout and kind of took it over and was funding everything himself. And he got some really big bands like he didn't get Fish, but he was trying to get bands of that sort of, you know, he's getting some of the bigger local bands in Lawrence, but he also got some national touring bands. So he was laying out the cash for this thing, and let me think. Am I thinking of the right thing? I might be thinking of the wrong thing. 99, 2000. No, I think 99 was the bad one, and 2000 was the one where you had a lot of people actually show up. And I guess I'm going to Main Street. I've been so yakketing so much that I should be turning here on Broadway. One of those shows, I think it was the 99 one. One of those shows, nobody showed up, and he lost his ass on it. He lost a lot of money because all the guarantees for bands and trying to pay for the sound and the stage and everything. So then he decided, everybody loves the blues, so I'm going to have this show called the Harvest Moon Blues Festival in October at the same place. And again, he has this show, and he has bands that demand big guarantees, like Kelly Hunt. I had to say it right because somebody had a very vulgar pronunciation of her name. Man, my window all of a sudden decided to fog up. It's probably because I'm too busy yakety-yakking. I fogged my window up with my BS. So he had the Harvest Moon Blues Festival. Again, nobody showed up. So then he did Omega 2000, and he was gonna do it really, really well. And I think enough people showed up for that one. Yeah, you can't see much now because my windshield fogged up. If I try and open the window, I'm going to let all the rain in. So let's see if I can find a place. Am I up here on Main Street? And I got the defroster on. Sorry if you're behind me and I'm not in the turning lane, but I can't see shite. I'm about to back into something. Trust me, I am trying to pull over. Back into something. Trust me, I am trying to pull over. I see the white line, so I'm in a bona fide parking spot. I hope the streetcar is probably still running. Yeah. You don't happen to know a guy by the name of, what is his name? I can't remember his name anymore. I've been friends with Bob Keller. That's not the name I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of, if somebody said his name to me, I would know. He's from Topeka. He lived in Topeka. He was a friend of Bob's. There's a friend of mine. I just lost contact with a lot of people. Yeah, I should turn my blinkers on so that... And it's occurred to me that I really don't know where the blinker switch is in this car. I'm baking myself out. Oh, that's so weird. It's probably under my phone. No, it's not Cliff, although I name drop Bob Cutler. Bob Cutler used to play in a band called Slackjaw, and Cliff Skurlock played drums for them for a little bit. And Cliff was friends with this singer of Slackjaw. I can't remember his name anymore either. I was gonna say Sleazy P. Martini, but that's Guar. No, it's been so long. At one time, I even played in a band. It was a very bad band, and the way I met this guy was he played in a band that opened up for us, or we opened up for them. I can't remember. In Warrensburg, Missouri, of all places. Woo. Josh. Yes, Josh is the bass player for Slackjaw, and he was Bob Cutler, still is one of Bob Cutler's best friends. Bob considers himself to be enemies with just about everybody else in that band now, except for Josh. I don't think he dislikes Cliff either, but Cliff did stick around in that band. I think Cliff was kind of the kind of guy that he played in everybody's band at one time. If you say that, oh, Cliff Skurlock played in that band, it's like, well, what band didn't he play in? As a matter of fact, there was a time when there was very few drummers in Warrens, and so the drummers were usually playing in no less than 3 bands. There's another guy I know and I like, and he's a drummer, and I can't remember his name either. And I used to hang out all the time, the replay, and when I hung out at the replay. Sorry about there really isn't fog in Kansas City. That's my windshield. And since my camera is sort of suction cupped up there, I can't move it so easily. I don't know, my windshield just decided to fog up. There hasn't been a big change in temperature or anything. It's just, don't run over those little thingamajigs there. Oh, you mean in the crossroads? Yeah, there's been a lot of modern loft spaces popping up, and they've all been 5 years or so. I think they're talking about building 3-light. I do like the modern architecture if it's done right. I especially love mid-century modern, but it seems like a lot of people do. People think that modern is cold and ugly, but nice, well-designed, well-thought-out type of, even ingenious type of style. It became the, oh, we're going to go to that because that's the cheapest thing we can do and everybody's doing it. You know, sort of like beer and football, you know. I mean, I'm not putting that stuff down. I'm just saying that in America, you can't swing a dead cat around without hitting beer and football, you know. Yeah, postmodern. And there's some people, oh, I love postmodern, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't. I mean, postmodern is another style that if done well and done right, it can be beautiful. But I find that what postmodern oftentimes means is cheap plastic facades on everything. I had an art teacher who influenced my way of thinking, and he was the last college teacher that I had, and he talked a lot about when you design something, the materials, it's best if the materials that you use are real, like a good example of what I'm not talking about, where materials are not real, are McMansions, what people call McMansions. Yeah, they say they have the loudest fans. But, you know, a McMansion is like this house where they stucco everything. The outside is like this stucco over foam core board, and then you get to the residential construction, the wood frame house, and then they use foam board usually, and then they stucco over it, and then they try and make the stucco look like stone, or they make the house look like it's this beautiful, wealthy mansion type house. That's why they call them McMansions. And I mean, they just slap them up really cheaply, and then they put arches in them, and then you have the master bathroom is bigger than some people's houses. You don't have it's like the master bedroom suite now, and these houses are usually huge, but they're very cheap. And I don't like them. And one of the first things I don't like about them is like, okay, if you want a house that's not cheap, or if you want, the materials need to be real. Like, instead of making some stone looking something out of cheap material, use stone. Or if you have, this is one of the things that gets me, brick veneer. I hate brick veneer. You know, like this, like some of the brick veneer is literally a stick-on. You stick it on, it's got like, you know, and in a couple of years it falls off, leaving the foam core board to be exposed, and usually a lot of that foam core board is pink and ugly. Yeah, well, not necessarily. Like, if you have a material that you use, it should be true to its nature. Like, getting back to modern architecture, there were steel frame buildings and glass walls. That was one of the earmarks of modern architecture, was they created the glass wall. But you could see that stuff, and it's real. And oftentimes they would make it, you know, if they didn't put a drop ceiling in it or something, they would make the ceilings in a way that it was part of the structure of the building. So when you're looking at the ceiling, you're looking at the structure. That became very popular in the postmodern sense in these loft apartments, where, you know, they leave the structure exposed. So you look up in a loft apartment and you see the concrete beams and you see the plumbing and you know, they would paint it in such a way that it wasn't an eyesore. Yeah, all of that, the basic structure should be there. You know, like one of the examples, and the name of my professor is Dr. Munson. One of the examples he cited was like the bent wood rocker, which if you were to find a real copy of one of those, it was probably really, really expensive. But you can find rockers that are made out of the same material and the same quality, but are actually copies of the original bent wood rockers. He said, yeah, here is something where the form and the function are beautiful, and there's nothing put on it that's not necessary, but yet it's done in such a way that it's actually a beautiful work of art. I used to want to be an industrial designer at one time. I wanted to design cars. Cars are a great example of one of the things I'm talking about, where they sheathe the bumpers now in plastic. Well, why not design a car where you just take that stuff off and design the structure of the car so it actually is appealing without needing to put this plastic material over it? Which, by the way, if you have a minor collision with today's automobiles, like the one I'm driving, has the same design. The first thing that'll happen is that bumper will probably fall off, and the price of it will be like half the price of the car to fix it, and you'll be like, geez, it costs that much? And if you don't have insurance, the structure of the car isn't very pretty. They haven't designed it to be looked at. I think that's true with music too. Like, I used to not really like jazz very much, but then I really got into it when I started hanging out at YJ's, and when I started listening to and reading the beat authors and listening to the music they listen to, bebop and everything. I really started getting into it and appreciating what it was. And one of the things I appreciate about jazz music is that it is often played on instruments that are like mechanical devices, basically, and works of art that evolved over the years into beautiful pieces. You know, so when a guy is playing a trumpet, he's really playing the trumpet. Or like, you know, they say here in Kansas City, and I get it, I'm going to say the dead cat reference. You can't swing a dead cat around Kansas City without an alto sax player. But all of those instruments are like, they're real, they're mechanical, they've evolved over hundreds of years. Yeah, and you know, when they play it, it's just pure skill on an instrument that's, if there's any electronics at all, it's the microphone hooked up to maybe now I know and I've met some people that play jazz and they play electronic instruments, especially, you know, like pianos, but Yeah, you know, if you go into YJ's when they had their jazz jams, there's this old piano sitting there, and that's what they played on when they played piano, and there was no... If there was a PA system, it was usually a maybe a keyboard amplifier hooked up to a microphone, and that was for the singer, if they had one. But jazz is an example of, I would say, a modern form of music. There's nothing postmodern about it. And it's modern, but it's also played on essentially ancient instruments, and it's all about skill and musicianship. And then I was talking to a guy who was also a jazz aficionado, but he also plays, the band he plays in, he played reggae. And he was talking about one of the things he hates now is he keeps hearing this, what's it called? All these bands now, like pop bands, would run the vocal, not a beatbox, maybe it's beatboxes. Show my ignorance and say, I don't know that much about it. My introduction to a great drummer, an eccentric person, but and then again I'm forgetting names. The main ones would be Arnold Young and what's his name? Now that I have to say it, I can't think of it. And it's funny too, because you have all these white guys are now playing bebop and trying to preserve bebop as best they can, and a lot of the black musicians are playing R&B stuff. I mean, they can do jazz and everything, but they're the stuff that's the money maker for them is R&B. The stuff that a lot of people that they play to want to hear is R&B, more of like a KPRS style of music. Beatbox? Well, I thought beatbox was like when you make the sound of drums with your mouth. I'm talking about this thing where they would run the vocals through it, and you could hear it. It's like it would double up the vocals, and it was pointed out to me that oftentimes you would do that in the mix for a vocalist that's not very strong, like they can't hold a pitch very well. And so if you double up their vocals, I'd lay it on a couple of tracks, have them sing through the song several times, and then lay it on the tracks. You can kind of correct the pitch, but anybody who's listening, it's kind of obvious because it almost sounds like, you know, are there two people playing or two people singing? Yeah, that thing that he played, but it was like the thing you put in your mouth and it's hooked to the guitar. There's something in news media that's called a lip mic. And I've seen it once, I've seen it used once, and it's, but it's a microphone that you hold up to your mouth. I mean, in order for it to work, you literally have to kiss it. And the idea behind it is if you're trying to get good audio in a crappy environment, like a live truck with a generator running, it cuts out all the background noise and only picks up your voice. I'd actually like to find one and possibly have one of those, because there might be some times in the future where I might need one. Because I hate it when, you know, know, these days people are using their iPhones for everything, and iPhones are really good, but they're not that good, and people are using iPhones to do crappy things. If you use an iPhone in a professional way, you can get professional results. Let's just put it that way. But if you use it as an amateur, it's not going to make you a better shooter. And one of the things that people do is like they get into like they're going to voice their story, their package, reporters I'm talking about. And a lot of them are starting to use their iPhones. This has got a good microphone. I'm going to use this. I'm going to voice my story. And it just becomes obvious that they used an iPhone in a car. And it sounds like they used an iPhone in a car. Otherwise, it sounds like, you know, in other words, it sounds like defecation. To put it in a nice phrase. So lightning. I can see where I am. Probably for quite a while tonight. It was dark. I couldn't really see it. I got a little bit of video, not much. Probably not enough to write home about. Yeah, especially if you have a noisy car, or if you're with an inexperienced reporter and they're like in this van. You know, a lot of vans, they started doing this thing. They did it for a little while, but it was a bad idea. And that was an engine inverter. And what it is they were hooking basically a big alternator up to the engine. And then they were making the engines work really, really hard. They were making them rev hard. We had at Channel 4, we had our first live van. I believe it was old van 3. Can't remember anymore. And this Ford van shows up, and it's like, we're like, where's the generator? It's like, oh, it doesn't have one. Instead, it uses the engine as a generator. Okay. And we got in that thing, and the thing got really horrible mileage. I mean, vans don't get great mileage to begin with. This one got horrible mileage. And the engine was roaring all the time. And the thing got to about 40,000 miles, and the engine blew up on it. I mean, literally, the engine blew up. They had to replace the engine. I think at 40,000 miles, it was still under some sort of warranty. And everybody that worked with that van, all the photographers were like, and I think quite a few of the engineers were kind of like, yeah, I don't like this idea. And they were starting to do that with RVs. They're like, here's a new RV, it's really cheap, it's $60,000 or $50,000 for an RV, which is really cheap for an RV. But it has no generator. Instead, it has the engine generator, you know, and an inverter and everything else. I'm not sure if anybody's still doing that, but that was back in the late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, we started getting that crap. Alrighty, well, I feel so privileged. So many people are watching me tonight. I guess it's because of what I finally found some interesting subject matter, because I know I'm a pretty dry person. Because my kids tell me that all the time. They say it in this way: you're boring. But I am very glad everybody participated and watched, and I hopefully added something of value to the world. But it's time to call it a day. It's time to relax. Head for the mountains. It's Miller time. So thank you very much, and thanks for the conversation.